Rebecca? Hello?
Yep, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Can you switch me over to presenter?
Yep, I can do that. I was going to wait until we got closer to the time. Well,
Okay,
you've
that's
got your
yeah.
screen up already. You want me to go ahead and do that now?
Well, did
I
you have
can.
another screen you wanted to be up
Nope.
first?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, let me go ahead and do that. So change person. Why are you not? Make another attendee presenter. Why are you not giving me the option here? Stop.
More. This time on managing stewardship campaign using Realm. I'd like to just check again to make sure everyone is hearing me. So if I could get maybe a couple of people to drop down into the chat and just say yes, you're hearing me, so I know that everyone's in a good place and we're ready to get started. That would be great. I'm hoping you're hearing me. I'm not getting any. I'm not seeing any responses coming in. Are you hearing me in the webinar? Rebecca, maybe you can
Yes,
let.
they
Okay.
are. They can hear you. They're answering
Okay.
in questions.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
yep,
on my screen,
everybody
I'm
can
not
hear you
seeing it.
loud and
Great.
clear, they say. So,
Thank you. It wasn't coming through on my side. I appreciate that, Rebecca.
yeah, it's under questions, so that's why you weren't
Okay.
seeing it.
All right. Great. Okay. So, again, welcome to everyone. Thank you for taking some time to join us today to talk about managing your stewardship campaigns and tracking your pledge and your gifts received. Again, my name is Pam Swaffield, and we're going to spend upwards to an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours together this morning, depending on how long it takes and how many great questions you come up with. Rebecca is monitoring the questions as in the last time, and she's going to be responding to those that might just need a quick little yes, no type of an answer. And I'm going to stop a couple of times during the webinar so she can go over any questions that she feels is going to be more beneficial to all of you to hear the questions and answers. Um, so before I get started, and again, the topic has to do with your stewardship campaigns, and I know everyone is getting ready to start launching their campaigns. I'm going to turn it over to Peter for just a minute because he had some things he wanted to share with you from the diocese side to make you aware of some information and helpful data they have that you might use in the process of getting started with your campaign. So, Peter, if you're there, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Yes, thanks, Pam. I just wanted to thank everyone for joining the webinar today. As you know, this is the second of our sessions and on managing the pledge campaigns using Realm. And I just wanted to draw your attention to the annual giving campaign toolkit that we have on the diocese website at edow.org/stewardship. And under there, you'll find a annual giving toolkit with resources that's been developed by the Financial Resources Committee of the diocese. So that has templates and resources for steps to plan and run the campaign as it begins and going through the campaign, letters, acknowledgements, bulletin inserts, prayers and scripture passages, etc. So you can download those and use also as part of your campaign as it goes forward. Just again, we're really happy to bring these training sessions to you. I hope you're finding them useful. Please feel free to email me at pturner@edow.org with any thoughts or concerns or anything else that you need as we move forward. Just a reminder that the next webinar will be on October 9th at 1 p.m. And that's on using Realm to help with your hospitality response, formation programs, and engagement. And if you didn't get the link or you want to let someone know about it, that's also on the website at edow.org under the events calendar. Okay, thanks for that. And I'll turn it over to Pam.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, so as we start talking about managing your stewardship campaign using Realm, there's several different aspects to that topic. I'm going to try to break them down for you, and we'll, talk about each one a little bit to get you thinking about the steps that you might need to take in order to be ready to start using RAM for your stewardship campaign tracking, and also the ability for your parishioners to be able to, through their own logins, through having set up their accounts, go in and set up their own pledges and even their scheduled giving. So like I said, there's a lot of different moving parts to this, and I'm going to try to address those as well as I can. Now, in using RAM, of course, one of the things that happens, and happens totally outside of RAM, is that your stewardship committee will, of course, meet and set your pledge campaign goal for the year. And one of the things someone will do, whoever handles your financials and your receiving of money and your pledges, they will go into RAM. And this is where I am now. I'm in RAM and I'm in the community side, but I'm going to jump down into the giving area for just a moment. So once you have established your campaign goals, someone will come into RAM under giving. They will go to pledge campaigns, and they will add the new campaign for the new year. It's as simple as clicking add, identifying the fund. Here's where you'll put your campaign goal, your campaign start and end dates, which I'm assuming will be January 1, 2020 until December 31, 2020. The date that this campaign becomes visible within Realm, and churchgoers can begin setting up their online pledges. Now, what that means is the campaign isn't going to start until January, but you want people to go ahead and be able to log in and enter their pledge campaigns, those that will do it on their own, or even maybe go ahead and set up their scheduled giving for the campaign. So even though the campaign doesn't start until January, you might want it to be visible, say, starting, well, tomorrow's October 1, or any point after that. There's a couple of other things you'll see here when it comes to creating a campaign. Is if you have been using Realm for a while and you have previous campaigns in here and people are fulfilling those campaigns and starting to want to contribute to the new campaign, notice there's an option to have it automatically apply gifts made to this fund before the actual campaign start date. If you wanted that to occur, you would turn on the automatic prepayment. So any monies given to this fund would get applied to the campaign, even monies before the campaign start date. And then you have another option if people would be possibly catching up and finishing out their pledges after the end date. Notice if you want to automatically apply a gift made to this fund after the campaign ends, then you would turn on the automatic post payments and select a date. Now, this is going to set it to automatically apply prepayments and post payments, which would be applicable to anyone. I will mention in the process of manually entering contributions later, you'll have the option to do some more specific applying payments. Maybe not for everybody, but for some specific people, prepayments and post payments. So this is how you're going to establish your campaign in RAM. Now you can save it, or if you already have received possibly some handwritten pledge cards that people might have filled out, or people had said, hey, just keep mine the same it was last year, you will be able to manually add pledges, and we're going to come back and address that. But what we're going to do first is we're going to talk about how to get people, more people hopefully, logging into RAM and setting up their own pledge campaigns and even setting up their scheduled giving. You'll notice here we have a couple of campaigns, and this is our demo website that we're looking, demo realm site that we're looking at. So this is all demo data. It's not a live church, so we won't have a lot of activity in it like you would in a typical church. But notice that we can see current campaigns in progress at this time, but you can also click on previous campaigns at any time. Let me get something out of the way of my screen here. You can click on previous campaigns those of you that may have used RAM for a while, and you'll be able to see other campaigns that have happened in past years. At any time, you can go into those previous campaigns and you can click on any one of those and see the detail of it. But for right now, we're looking at creating our new campaign for the new year of 2020. Now, once you've set your campaign goal, as mentioned, the idea behind using RAM is that once your membership has created their RAM logins, you can encourage them without a lot of paper and mailing and other types of transactions happening. You can encourage them to log into RAM and they can enter their pledge campaign information specifically in RAM. And at the same time, go ahead and set up a scheduled giving if they would like to go ahead and get it set up on a scheduled basis so they don't have to think about it any longer and they know that the money is going to be going into your office on a regular basis and they will be meeting their pledge throughout the year. Now, the idea behind that to get them to log in and enter their pledge and set up their scheduled giving is that first you have gotten them to create their RAM account or their RAM login. So we want to address that issue for just a moment. So this is those of you that may be just getting started with RAM, or you may have had RAM for a while, but you really haven't put any major focus on getting your parishioners logging in. Now is the time to be thinking about that because in order for them to be able to enter their pledge themselves, they have to be able to log in. So some things to ask yourself if you haven't invited your parishioners yet to create their RAM invites, or to create their RAM accounts. The thing you want to ask yourself first is, who are we first focusing on? If the first group of people we're focusing on creating RAM accounts are those people that we're also focusing on hopefully entering pledge information, then we want to identify who those individuals are. Now, in our last session, we talked about each of you being able to customize your fields, your profile fields in Realm, and we touched on a profile field called member status, which we discussed several options and possibilities of what your member statuses would be, and pretty much by those member statuses, you should be able to identify what we would consider your core active people, the ones that you would also be expecting would be entering a pledge. So to focus first on those individuals, we need to identify who they are. So I'm going to show you quickly one way to do that would be that I might want to create a query in Realm using the custom query option. And I've already created one and saved it so I can show it to you under my, not my predefined reports, my saved reports. So you might want to create a custom query. Give me just a second here. There we go. Custom query, and I'll show you what this one looks like. So what I did was I said I wanted to create a custom query. I selected that I wanted to search on member status, and member status is equal to whichever member statuses in your database, in your RAM, would identify those core active people that you're wanting to focus on getting pledge information from. So whatever you're calling those individuals, if they're active member, confirmed member, attendees, whatever terminology you've decided your member statuses need to be, you can create a query to focus specifically on those that you're going to be communicating with to get them to enter their pledge information. But before they can enter their pledge information, they have to be invited to create their Realm account. So this query that I created, and by the way, I saved it so I could rerun it, reuse it as often as I need to, found 944 individuals. So this is for our church, what we consider our core active people, the ones we can count on to set up their pledge information, contribute to their pledge, and hopefully fulfill their pledge. So if they have not yet been invited to create a RAM account, if you just go in here, select everybody, and say send RAM invite, you're probably not going to get much of a response at all. If you haven't already communicated and um, informed these individuals what RAM is, that your church is using it, and how they would be able to be an active participant in realm, and what all it will do for them. What it will do for them, the pledging and the giving is just one small part of the big picture of what realm is all about, as far as how it would help these individual members, active core people in your congregation. So before you just go out there and send out an invite, of which you will get no response because they won't even understand what it is, you need to put some thought into how are we going to inform these people what RAM is, that we are using it, how excited we are as a church staff to be using it, and how it's going to be a tool to help the church as a whole better communicate with each other, and help them individually be able to have communication coming within their various groups that they're members of within Realm, give them the ability to go in and set their pledge, be able to give them the ability to set up their online giving, and all the other features that go along with using Realm as a congregant of a church. Not you as the staff level or the admin level, but how it's going to benefit them. And everywhere I go, every church I work with, I tell everybody, by nature as humans, we're all lazy to a degree, that if we don't see how something's going to benefit us and enhance our life and make our life better, we're probably not going to be part of it. There's so much going on, so many apps out there today, so many ways to be on social media, to connect with people, that it almost becomes overwhelming. And if people don't understand what Realm is, that it's a closed, private community made up your church membership, and don't if they don't understand how this can benefit them in their life, make their life better, they're probably not going to be very excited about being part of it. So before you even consider getting them to go in here and enter their pledge information, you've got to get them to the point of wanting to be part of Realm for the big picture, not just the pledging and the giving. You'll want to consider communicating with your people in many various ways. You might want to consider sending out emails or text or letters telling them what Realm is, and what it is for your church and your people. Um, you might want to put some information in newsletters and bulletins. You might even want to have the rector or the stewardship chair send out some information about why they're encouraging the membership to create their Realm accounts. Bottom line is, you've got to communicate as early as you possibly can, to encourage them to use Realm. Explain to them it's a secure system. ACS will not sell any church's data. It will reduce workflow. It will provide a better picture of pledge information. So there is a lot to Realm. Communicating with the parish, the membership, communicating within their groups. It's a communication tool, just like all the other tools they use when they're communicating with family and friends. However, this is a closed communication tool, specifically by invite only, to the people that the church staff and administrators will choose to invite to be part of this area. I want to show you, as you get ready to start preparing to communicate with your members and present all the reasons that you would like them to be part of Realm, all the positives. I want to let you know that when you're in Realm, you can click over on the far right on the question mark, and it is going to bring up some tools for you to use as a church staff to get ready to start rolling out and promoting Realm to the membership. So you can click on that, and when you do, it's going to take you into the help area. Now, you'll want to make sure when you're in the help area that you go to the staff help area, and you'll see that ACS has provided you under the Launch Realm Connect area here many useful tools to help you plan and prepare for a successful launch with your membership. You'll notice that as I scroll down, there's guides, several guides available. Um, 3 C's to launch success, rollout resources, videos. There's guides for the leaders, the congregants. There's a lot of material here, and I encourage you to jump in here and take advantage of all these resources that have basically been thrown in your lap to help you as you get ready to roll out. I'm going to specifically focus on this one. It's called Rollout Resources, and when you click on that, it's going to take you to an area where you'll notice that there are various resources available for you. So, what does the rollout look like? Pre launch, launch, and growth. I'm not going to click on all of these because we don't have the time, but I just want you to know this is here. And as I scroll further down, what I really want you to know is here is there's guides, there's ready to use materials full of helpful advice and instructions from the rollout experts. There's marketing assets that you can use in your communication as you get ready to roll it out to your church. And then there's also videos. There's lots of great videos that you can watch before the rollout. You can encourage your membership to watch. I'm just going to click on the where it says assets here to get the files just to show you a little of what's available to you. Notice that there's banners, there's bulletin inserts, there's signs, there's PowerPoint slides that you can pull up. And after you roll out the why do you want to create a Realm account, then you're going to start focusing on how easy it is to do the online giving. And so they have provided information specifically for online giving. You'll notice there's logos, there's QR codes. Just going to the Launch Ram Connect and clicking around in here, you're going to find a lot of very helpful information as you plan and prepare for your rollout, so that you're not having to, start designing everything on your own. I think the guys at the home office have done a great job in providing you as many tools as absolutely possible to make your launch rollout to RAM as successful as as it can be. So I wanted to point out that all of these are here. It's just a matter of in your RAM clicking on the question mark on the far right under staff, look for the Launch RAM Connect or Launch RAM, whichever one you have, and just dig in there and grab anything that will be helpful to you as you start getting ready to roll it out. But I am going to say, because I've been training for 23 years, and I have seen some very successful launches, and I have seen some not so successful launches. And what I'm going to say mainly the key to a successful launch is that you have communicated in numerous ways so that you captured everybody somewhere along the way what Realm is, how it's going to be helpful to them in their life. It's going to help them be better able to communicate with their church family, specifically give them the ability to go online and enter their pledge information and go ahead, if they're willing to, set up their scheduled online giving. So pretty much they can do it all in 5 minutes and they're done, and they don't have to think about it for about a year. And your money's coming in on a regular basis. So every church, I always say this, every church has its own personality. Nobody knows that personality better than the staff of that particular church. So you guys know the personality of your church. You know what type of communication needs to happen to get your people noticing, maybe getting excited about RAM, about the possibility of what it is and what it can do for them, and getting them to the point of them wanting, coming to you saying, when can I log in? When do I get this invite you're talking about? So that's going to be the first thing, is get people excited about RAM in general and getting them to create their RAM logins. One more thing, when you get ready to start rolling out to get people to create their realm logins, I was going to throw this out. I've had some churches I've worked with that they've even done something like a little contest. So the first 25 parishioners that create their realm account, we're going to have a little drawing for a free giveaway, or whatever, dinner at a local restaurant, or a tank of gas at a gas station, or something along those lines. So people have come up with some very creative ways to launch RAM to the membership. So before you can even get people to log in and create their pledge, they created their RAM account. We're going to now talk about, we want them, once they've created their RAM account, to be able to log in and enter their own pledge and giving information. Now I'm going to take a step back here, because if you want to utilize Realm in the best way it can be, hopefully you have already worked with some of our e-giving coaches, and you've already set up your own line giving using your merchant account, which is typically Vanco. If you have not yet set up the ability for people to give online, and that is something, of course, you're encouraged to do, because it's been somewhat proven that there's a lot of people, the only way they're going to give money is they're going to give it online. And you want to make sure that you provide them the giving opportunities for them to be able to give in the way that they choose to give. It seems to me, again, in the 23 years I've been training, in the last, 10 years or more and more people are going to give online. And if you don't give them that opportunity, they're not going to give. So hopefully you have set up your ability to have online giving coming into your Realm site. And if you haven't, in order to start that process, there's a group of people whose title is basically e-giving coach, who works with all the individual churches to answer any and all questions you have about setting up online giving, and how to do it, how to launch it, what does it cost. Um, you can schedule an appointment with one of these e-giving coaches at your convenience to have them call you back. You schedule the date and the time to have them call you, and they will answer any and all questions you have about setting up your e-giving, your online giving. They will walk with you through the process, all the way through best scenarios on how to roll it out and launch it, to your membership. Even if you have some other type of online giving through another merchant account, they can even walk with you through the process of ways to, best practices to get people to switch their online giving over to Vanco if they would like to do that. What I will mention is to, and I'm having to move something out of the way here, to schedule your call for your e-giving coach. I'm going to show you how to do it very quickly. Each of you has been assigned an e-giving coach. You may or may not know who that person is. You may or may not be the person who received that initial information when your e-giving coach was assigned to you. But to schedule an e-giving coach, all you have to do is go to acstechnologies.com. When you get to the ACS website, the best, easiest way for me that I have found to schedule that e-giving coach is from this page. I'm going to click where it says Solutions. And under Solutions on the bottom of the screen, you'll see a little pop down, one of which is the online giving option. Now, if you'll go there, you do have an option to watch a little video about what is an e-giving coach and what do they do. But you'll see over on the right, and it's highlighted in gold, it says Let's Talk. If you will click on that, you will enter your site number, your Realm site number, and it will take you at that point to a screen where it will give you the ability to choose from a sort of a calendar, a day and a time that you would like to schedule your e-giving coach to call you at a time of your convenience. And I say just have all of your questions ready, anything and everything you can think of, or anyone else that's working in this area of getting all this set up. Maybe you've met together as a committee or a team. Just have a list of all your questions and what do we need to do. And these e-giving coaches will basically hold your hand through the process of getting your merchant account established if you don't already have one, and getting it connected to your Realm account so that as you start rolling out to your membership, once they have created their Realm logins, then the next step is you're going to start promoting and publicizing and suggesting that they could now log in and establish their pledge without having to have print pledge cards or mail out anything to them for them to have to get something to fill out and then return back to you, which again eliminates all the paper, the hassle, the time, the expense of the way we've done it for years in the past. And you want to again communicate and publicize now using Realm and with their account already established, how easy it will be for them to just log into Realm, set up their own pledge, and go ahead at that time and set up their scheduled giving, provided you've gotten your merchant account already set up and established. I wanted to mention, I forgot to mention this, when you get to the point of being ready to send out your invites to your core people to create their Realm account, just for you to know that those initial invites expire 90 days from the date that they're sent. So if you initially sent that invite to your core people, and again, I'm able to go to a query if that's how you want to do it to identify those individuals that you consider your core people. I'm able to send out the Realm invites to all of them at one time. The caveat here is they have to have an email address because the invite is coming to them by way of an email. So that's one thing you need to be kind of checking out before you get ready to send out the invites. When you've identified these core people, make sure that you do have your email addresses set up on all of them so they can receive the invites. So once they're sent out, they'll have about up to 90 days, which hopefully they'll jump in and do it a lot sooner than that. I do want to mention that you have the ability to track in the admin area. I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. You have the ability to track in the admin area under users and permissions who you have sent pending invites to, and you have the ability to identify those people who have not yet set up their Realm accounts because they'll be listed here as a pending invite. You'll be able to see them in a list format. You will also be able to send them kind of like a reminder, a second reminder for, hey, you haven't set up your Realm account yet. We really encourage you to do so. That second reminder also expires 90 days from the date that it's sent. But you have a way to track who have you invited to create a Realm account that has not set up their Realm account yet through the pending invites, and remind them, encourage them to go ahead and do so. Now, you can send the invites out, like I said, through a query. You can go to specific individuals, go to their profiles and send it out that way. You can send the invites out through a group. There's a lot of different ways to get the invites sent out. But before they can log in to enter their pledge information, they will have to have set up their Realm account. I'm going to stop at this point, and I'm going to ask Rebecca if there's any questions that have come up that she would like to address before we move on to our next topic. Rebecca?
Questions is, where do I find the e-giving coach video again on the Realm website?
Okay, I'll show you that real quick. So let me just start from the beginning. So initially you're going to go to acstechnologies.com. That's the website. Now, there's other ways to get to it, but what I have found to be the easiest, and Rebecca, you might have a different option. What I do is once I'm on the website, I go to Solutions. Under Solutions, it brings up a little drop down. One of the options under By Need is online giving. And like I say, there's a little video here if you would like to watch
Yeah,
it.
that's where she wanted. She wanted to know where the video was.
Okay, there's the video, and then there's the Let's Talk, which is where you can schedule your time.
The next question is, can one send emails where you can write the message, for instance, thank yous, reminders? So back where you were on the query and we clicked the little drop down, yes, there is the option to send an email versus send a realm invite.
Yes, so let me go back to I'll click on the one that I had here so we can pull some people up. All right, so any query, this query was to identify what we were calling our core people. But any query, for whatever reason you create a query, when it finds the individuals that matched, you'll notice they came across as all selected. You can unselect and choose certain ones, or you can select everyone. But then you'll notice now the options here. Not only send the realm invite, but to send any other emails. So if you want to preempt the realm invite with some other emails to go out first, then this is how you could send those emails out. And in this email, you might be saying, hey, you're going to be receiving an email from the church. It is going to be your invite to create your realm account. And in that email, or even attached to that email, you might have created a little document, sort of a step 1, step 2, step 3, how to do it. You will be able to put a link on your website for people to be able to go to that link to create their login. You might want to give them some little task. When you log in, please look at your information and make sure everything is up to date. Just give them a few things to do once they log in. One of which could be to set up their pledge and set up their online giving. But anyway, you see all these other options here. It's not just send out an invite from a query. Anything else, Rebecca?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so a couple of things came to my mind as we were talking and answering those questions. I want to mention briefly, I'm going back into the admin area. In the admin area under communication, there is the second one down is called links. There's an option here that will give you the ability to grab a link to be placed on your website, which is where you can inform your people this is where they will be able to go to log into Realm. You also, I'll point out while I'm in here, there's another link when you get to the point of your online giving has been set up and you're encouraging people to give. You'll notice that there's another link you can grab, how to give on your website, copy and paste the links on your website. You can even create links defaulting to a specific fund that you might like to encourage people to give to. It could be your pledge fund. It could be some type of a disaster relief fund. You can create links which will give you the ability to, and even put in a recommended amount that, be a default amount when they go to give. You can create specific links and QR codes that you could use in your bulletins and in your newsletters, making it as easy as possible for people to be able to get logged into Realm and just to go to your website to give to your pledge and any other funds that they might like to give to. So that was in the admin area under communication, under links. Now I will mention also, while we're in here, under system settings, under system emails, and I said that the system will send out an email inviting people to become a part of RAM, to create their RAM accounts. This invite is pretty generically worded. but you have the ability to edit the invite. Just don't remove any of the little placeholders. But you could go in and you could add your own personal touch to this invite, or you can even add, once you create your REM account, please, step one, step two, step three, check out your personal information. Is it correct? Go ahead, set up your pledge. Here's how you do that. So there could be more in this email other than, hey, why don't you set up your account? So all of these are system generated emails that will go out based on certain events happening in Realm. And do know that you can edit and customize any of these. So you've got the Realm invite, and then you've got the Realm invite reminder. For those that haven't set theirs up yet, you can edit this and make it more personable to your church family. You'll notice while I'm in here, there's a giving receipt. So when people do go online to give, they will automatically get a receipt for that. But again, you can edit it. Okay. All right. So your stewardship campaign sets the pledge amount. Someone goes into RAM and enters the pledge. At the same time, you are focusing on how do we get our people to be interested and willing and excited about using RAM and willing to set up their RAM account. And then after the RAM account is set up, then we start encouraging them to go in and enter their pledge. Now, when a parishioner logs in, they will see the community side. You, as the staff or the admins, you might see community reporting, giving, admin, even accounting, depending on what all areas of RAM you're using. But when someone is just more of a member, so to speak, community is going to be their world. This is what they're going to see. So once they've created their login, now when they log into RAM, oh, and I apologize, I meant to mention and I forgot to mention, one thing you might want to encourage your membership to do while you're communicating, there is an app that goes with using RAM. And so if they have an iPhone or they have a Droid, they can go to wherever they would normally download their apps, and they would just search for Realm Connect and encourage them to go ahead and download that app. Yes, you can log into Realm, which is what you're looking at here, but the app gives the membership that day-to-day instant quick access from their phones to not only be part of the pledging and online giving side, but also that's the community side where whatever groups they're a part of, if there's conversations going on in their groups, they'll be able to see it from that app on their phone. It's literally in their back pocket. Anytime they walk out the door of their home, they're taking it with them, and they have that instant access to whatever's happening within the church family, registering, seeing events, setting up, giving online, and so much more that they can do from the Connect app. So that can definitely be part of the initial push of information to let them understand what RAM is all about and how they will be able to use it and access it, meaning they don't have to be sitting in front of a computer all day. All right, so at this point, hopefully you're going to have a special launch day for your pledge campaign. You will have possibly put special announcements in your bulletins. You may have someone speak to the benefits and ease of using RAM to set up their pledge, maybe have some kind of a giving testimony on the particular Sunday that's going to be your launch day. Encouraging people to use RAM to set up their pledge and their scheduled online giving, talking about how easy it might have been for them to do it. You might even consider, having created a little card to be stuck in the back of the pews for them to pick up a simple little how to set up your pledge in RAM, and encouraging them to give online, and encourage them to understand the benefits of giving online. The ease of, on their end, setting up one-time scheduled giving and knowing that the money is going to be going to the church every week, every month, every quarter, as often as they have identified it to go, without them having to stop and think about it. and on the side of the back end office, how it will reduce the workload and the possible errors of staff data entry as they're if they are entering manual pledges. There's always the possibility of human error. So again, you want to give them information on where to go to set up their scheduled online giving, either through the app, the Realm Connect app, or going to your website. And I showed you where you can put a link on your website for them to be able to give through that link. But on that launch day, provide specifics for people that have not yet set up their pledge through in Realm on how to do it. And one thing a lot of churches will do, because we know there are some people that they would participate, but they're just kind of a little bit scared. They don't know if they can do it on their own. They might be more willing to set it up if they had someone assisting them. So a lot of churches will even promote that there will be volunteers stationed before and or after services at certain times in certain locations around the building, these volunteer assistants, so to speak, to help them if they haven't even created their RAM login account, do that, and even then set up their scheduled on pledge and online scheduled giving. So they could even have a badge to identify who these people are as a pledge helper or whatever. So there's lots of ways to get people started in Realm, setting up their pledge. And like I say, every church has its own personality, and just knowing and understanding what are going to get the best results for you. How can we best roll this out that we're going to get the most people wanting to participate as possible? Okay. I did want to mention one other option for you to make people aware of, and as a benefit on why they would want to log into Realm and use Realm. Not only can they go to the app, or they could go to your website, or they could log into Realm to set up a scheduled giving or to give. Once you have set up your merchant account, another way people will be able to give, and this is quite popular this day with, I can't even call it the younger generation anymore because we're all very excited about it. But you have the ability, they have the ability to do text to give. So working with your e-giving coach, once your merchant account is set up, they can even help you through the process of getting set up for people to be able to text to your church using a church key code the amount of money they'd like to give to any of your funds. So that's another option as well, is the text to give. Okay, so hopefully at this point we have people logging in and starting to set up their pledges. So I'm going to walk you through how they would do that. So again, the membership will only see the community side. And in the community side, you'll see there's an area here for giving, and they'll click on that. And you'll notice there's a give and a pledge option. I will point out on the far right, there's even an area for current pledges and past pledges that they would be able to see if you've been using Realm for a while, if you do have some past pledges. Notice there's a manage payment methods. If you have assigned giving numbers, they will see that on the screen as well. But the first thing you're going to ask them to do is click on the pledge option. And this is what it's going to look like for them. Very simple, very easy to understand. They're going to pledge whatever amount to the fund, which of course we're encouraging right now, the 2020 fund. They can choose that it's going to be once a week, every 2 weeks, once a month, twice a month, every 3 weeks, annually, or on an as-can basis. Some people, they don't get the regular every 2-week paycheck or once a month paycheck or every week paycheck. They get paid in different forms and fashions, so they're going to give as they can. But they can set it up however they choose to. Notice when I put $1,000 to be given once a month from January to December 2020, it calculated the total pledge in that amount. And they can do one of two things. They can save this, which is just entering their pledge, Or what you might want to do is encourage them to save the pledge and go ahead and set up their online giving to the pledge. So I've indicated $1,000 to the pledge fund, frequency on which day of the month, starting on what day until I cancel it, or an end date or an X number of times, however they would choose to do it. Then the next thing they're going to do is they're going to enter their information. If they're going to be paying with a credit card or debit card, then of course they're going to enter the information as it is on their card, the account number, expiration, the name on the card, the address, all the information. Notice that they can also select to contribute a little bit more than what they're actually pledging, because we know using a merchant account, there are some fees involved, because they're a separate company and they are a business. They do have to make money. Excuse me. So if you, or you being the parishioner, and you can encourage them to do this, if you would like to encourage them, they can choose, if they're, in this case, selecting that my pledge is going to be $1,000 a month over 12 months, but I'm also going to contribute an extra $20 over the course of the year to help offset the cost of my convenience of going ahead and scheduling my online giving. Now, they can also choose to give by way of a checking account or a savings account. So if they're going to do that, again, they're going to enter the information pertaining to their checking account, the information off of their checks, basically. And you'll notice it even tells them what they're looking for, where it's asking for the account number, the routing number, and so on. It even displays what the bottom of a check would typically look like, so they know which one is the routing number, which one is the account number. And I know it confuses a lot of people. It sometimes confuses me too. So they'll either enter their information. Notice again, if they want to contribute a little extra to help offset processing fees, if your bank charges processing fees, but they can give by credit card, debit card, checking, or savings. So they can set it up one time and go ahead and click the save button or the give button down here on the bottom that's in blue. Now, what they have done is they've entered their pledge, which you have a record of that now, and they've gone ahead and they have set up their regular scheduled online giving. So after today, I literally could just walk away, not worry about it or think about it again, knowing that my pledge is on the books and my scheduled giving is going to happen once a month on the day of the month I chose, and the money is either coming on my credit card, debit card, or out of my checking or savings account. Now that's what it's going to involve for the member to set up their pledge, and if they're willing to go ahead and set up their scheduled online giving. They don't have to set up scheduled online giving. I mean, they can give online at any time they choose to. They can come back in here. They can have the pledge in here, but they can come back in here now and just choose to give at any point they want to. Or maybe a month or two into the pledge, they said, I wish I had set up that scheduled giving. So they can set up the scheduled giving at any time. They can set up scheduled giving to several different funds. Just depends on what funds you have open for people to give to, and which ones they might want to support a youth ministry or a music ministry or a renovating or building fund. And they can set up scheduled giving to go to any fund. It doesn't necessarily just have to go to their pledge. Okay? So this is where they will set up their scheduled giving. I have had some suggestions, again, trying to educate people to get them to want to participate in being part of an online church community and online giving and online pledging, even planning to have a scheduled day or two, possibly 3 different sessions where it's like, hey, if you want to learn more about this, what is RAM? What is it all about? How will it help you and the church communicate better together? How will you set up your online giving? How will you set up your pledge? I've had some churches, they'll schedule, like maybe 2 or 3 Sunday evenings in a row, a little session or a little forum, just inviting people. You want to learn more about RAM? Come on, and we'll talk to you and we'll tell you what it's all about. So that could be another way to promote or push this information out. Schedule a coffee hour or something like that, where you can even have some kiosk available and ready for them to go ahead and set it up while they're there in the building. Of course, there may be some people that are not going to participate in online giving, online pledge. So you're still going to need to have some old-fashioned pledge cards available for those individuals to fill out. And someone then on the back end, someone in the office, will receive those pledge cards. And yes, you can manually enter your pledges. So going back to giving now, and this is where we set up our pledge campaign initially under pledge campaign. So what you will see happening here, and I'm gonna go to this one so we can see some data. What you're going to see happening as people start going online and setting up their own pledges, then you're going to start seeing those are showing up here, which is great because you didn't have to enter it. But if you do have those individuals that still insist on filling out the pledge card, turning it in, and having someone in the office enter that pledge, you will be able to do it by searching either by their name or their giving number. Let's see. I'm going to go with Jim Abrams here. So I have just received a pledge card from him. So you're entering the amount, and he probably indicated on his pledge card how he was going to give. And you'll want to make sure that it is the pledge period. Now, this is the 2019 pledge period, the one I pulled up, but you will want to make sure you're in the 2020 pledge as you enter this. Notice it took the $100 once a month, calculated his total pledge at $1,200. All I have to do is click add. And so he now has a pledge as part of this pledge campaign. I'll point out while we're looking at this, as this rolls into 2020, those of you that will have the security rights to be able to see what's going on in this area of pledging, you'll be able to see everyone with the pledge, how they have pledged, their total pledge, and as people start contributing, then you're going to start seeing a sliding scale as it moves forward into the year of what their pledge was, how much they've contributed, and what their remaining balance is. So, of course, we're going to encourage them to set their pledge up because that's less work on the staff, less chance of human error on the staff as they're entering the data, and just making the membership more responsible for themselves in a way using RAM. And then they can set up their scheduled giving. They can set scheduled giving on as many different funds as you give them the ability to do based on what funds you have set up and established available for scheduled giving. And then there may be those individuals that are not going to set up and do the online giving, either scheduled or week by week. You will also be able to come in here on the back end and manually receive the gifts that are going to be attached to their pledge. I think I want to stop at this point, Rebecca, and see if there are any other questions before we move on.
Yep. So we have a couple I've answered directly. That was just fine. There was one I wanted to mention. When you talked about the online giving link, and there is the ability to have a QR code, which is great. We've had clients use that for publications. They've even put it on their website, or different things. The question was, is there a recommended app for the mobile device for a QR reader? And there really isn't one, and mainly because depending on if you have iOS or Android, the recommended or top app for QR reader, could be different depending on that. So as long as you have an app, or they have an app that reads a QR code, you're fine with that. It's not a rocket science or anything major for that. Let's see, here's some other things. Does the donor have the ability to change or edit their giving? And the answer to that is no. They cannot edit or change their giving history or something that's already been posted. They can edit or change their recurring gift that they have set up in Realm. But if it's a gift that you've posted there at the parish, then they do not have ability to edit or change that. Only your staff and admin can do that. Next one is, if we've set up an event at the church with volunteers at their computers, we need to have people who've already been invited but haven't logged in yet. I'm just unclear how the volunteer would make that setting up the profile happen, let alone how they would help them. So I think that's talking about, where you're going to set up some computers for people to be able to come in and get signed up. Basically for that, you would just, have the computers there, the volunteers are there. The individuals will need to be able to either access their email on those computers, which means they need to be able to remember their password for their email account. Or you can show them how to accept the invite on their mobile device. Just make sure they have not loaded the app yet. So they'll check their email, click the link, and they'd be able to accept the invite there on their device.
One thing I would add is it could be possible that these people that are going to be your um, volunteer helpers, pledge helpers, or login helpers, or whatever, um, these could potentially be staff level people that would even have the ability, if the person says, "Oh, I never got my invite," that they could check into the database and make sure that you do have the right email address and send them a second invite right there on the spot. That again they could receive if they know how to log into their email account, or even through their mobile devices. So
Yep,
just things to think about.
very
These
good.
the volunteers would probably need, even if it's just for that day, a level of access that they could get to a little bit more information than they would typically be able to as a member or a group leader. I would think that you would have these people very well trained, and probably maybe be staff members to begin with, that could deal with all the issues that could come up with helping different people be able to receive their emails or log into their accounts.
The next question is, when someone makes a pledge online, how do we direct which email address is notified of the online pledges? And that would be whatever email address they use to sign up for Realm. Is the same email address that will be used to notify them of any gifts that they give online, or any pledge, or if you send statements out via that email address. It will be what we call the account email, or their primary email. That will be the email address that's used.
And hopefully everyone understands that when they're sent their Realm invite, the email that is sent to is their quote primary email. It becomes their account login. If they have two or three different emails, they can't just flip around and decide to use a different email on any given day. Whatever email they receive that invite through is their account email. That's going to be the one they're going to receive all their communication through, with setting up their Realm account and receiving information after the fact through the pledging and the giving process, where they would get emails going back to them.
And if the next question is along with those same lines, so if you have someone, let's say this question is, we had a staff turnover and I don't want the email to be sent to an address that's currently not checked regularly. So in that case, admins have the ability to change the primary account email address of a record or profile. So you can be on the phone with them, or if they email you or say, you know, hey, I have a new email address, you can change that for them so that it becomes their primary or account email address.
So what I was going to show while Rebecca was speaking to that, I have pulled up an individual, and I'm just going to edit his record. And you will notice it shows which email is his account email. As an admin, they will have this option underneath where it says update email account, that this could be changed. This is demo data, so that's a different scenario. But yes, the admins could update and change if they have 2 or 3 different email, or they've just shut one down and started a new one for some reason. Somebody does have the ability to go in on the back side of things and switch the account email to be a different email account.
The next one is a clarification on that. So that was all good information. This is, sounds like you guys previously used Access ACS, and there was the ability to set up email addresses that would send an email to that individual or individuals when pledges were added. In Realm, we don't send out email addresses. Those are in the change logs. So under admin, all the way down at the bottom, there's a change log. It's only available to admins, but then you can see pledges that have been added. You can see where I was in there playing, but it would show you any pledges that have been added. This would be the way that you would find the type. You can filter on type and be able to see, click on the little filter icon there, see what's available there, Pam. Yeah. So there's contributions. There's not pledges specifically right now, but there is contributions. So you could choose contributions and that would show you pledges. But we don't have that in Realm where it automatically emails out when new pledges have been added at this time. And then, yes, one more question. If you can't find the previous Realm invite, you can send a new one. Yes. So they should show under the pending invites like Pam showed you if you've sent them a previous invite. But if it's over 90 days and it has expired, then you can send them a new one.
And you can pull up any individual. Well, it's taking a minute to get there. Hopefully we'll get there soon. There we go. You can go to any individual, and you will have an option to send them an invite if you haven't sent them one yet, or send them a reminder. But if they've already set up their account, you won't see the option to send an invite, but you'll see an option for a send password reset. If for some reason they contact you and say, hey, I cannot get in, even though they can click themselves to say that they can't remember their password, they need to reset their password from the ownrealm.org screen. But on the back end, as an administrator, they can also send a password reset. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. All right. We will keep going and keep putting your questions out to Rebecca, and I will again stop in a little bit and we'll address any other questions that come up. Do keep in mind also, after this session is over, if you do have questions, you can communicate with Peter, and he can forward any questions to us as well. You're going to have the ability to go back and watch see the video again if you'd like to, the recording of our session today. Just as an ACS client, you can always contact the RAM support and ask them questions as well. It's like, I remember I could do that. I remember them talking about it. I don't remember exactly how to go to get started, and so the RAM support people, that is why they're there to help you as well, as you start rolling this out and point you along the way where you might get stuck from time to time. Okay, I'm trying to look over my notes and make sure I'm not forgetting something that I had made a note of that I felt was important enough to share with you. Um, I just want to make sure I don't forget anything. Okay, so we're going to look in a little while. We're not going there quite yet, but we're going to look at where you will be able to see the giving that's coming in online, also be able to enter contributions that's coming in to the church through the plate or, in the mail or whatever. But I'm going to stay on the pledge side of things for just a little bit longer. So we've learned how once they have created their Realm account, they can go in and set up their giving. They can set up a schedule, set up their pledge. Then they can set up a scheduled giving, or they can go and give anytime they choose to if they don't want to do it as a scheduled. Um, so that's how your members are going to work from their side of using RAM. Now, on the back end, staff, administrators, back into the giving area, I want to go back to this pledge campaign for just a moment. And because this is demo data, I'm going to go back to a previous pledge campaign that's got a little bit more activity on it because there's a few things I want to show you. They have one here. It actually goes back to 2015, but it's a good example of what you're going to be able to do from the back side of looking at your pledge information. Now, like I said, you can see everyone that's pledged. You can see totals down in the bottom in the black area, total pledges, your goal, the amount pledged. Hopefully you reach your goal or maybe even exceed your goal. You have the ability here to scroll alphabetically and just kind of glance at what all is going on with everybody on the screen. And like I said, you can add a pledge if somebody contacts you and says, hey, I'm not going to do it myself, but I would like you to do it for me. But I want to show you there's so much more to this screen than just entering a pledge and looking at pledge information from this view. On the right, there's a funnel, there's a little search mechanism, a filter mechanism. This is what I think you're going to be very interested in using as you're rolling your campaign out. You're asking people to enter their pledge information, and you're wanting to track day to day or week by week. How much activity are we getting? How are we getting our pledges in? That sort of thing. Um, Notice I can filter a lot of different ways from here. I can filter that the total pledged is between, equal to, greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to. So if I wanted to find everybody who has made a pledge in a certain amount range, if you're looking at ranges in that way, notice I can look at, I will get to these in a minute, unmet, met, and forgiven. I'm not doing anything over here yet with the giving. Right now, I'm just looking on the pledging side. So I wanted just to see pledged between 100 and 500 when I click apply. Okay, now I see Sophie at 300 and Tom and Adrian at 300 and Victor and Karen at 480. So I'm actually able to filter for various purposes of pledge amounts between, equal to, greater than, less than, and so on. If you wanted to, once your pledging starts, not your pledging, but your giving starts, then I can start saying, I want to find everybody um, who's pledged. Let me just click, I want to refresh my screen and get back to it. I want to find everybody who's pledged um, greater than a penny even, or a dollar, and then their giving is less than, greater than, different amounts. But what I want to point out even more than that is notice down here on the bottom, I want to look at filter to who has not met their pledge, who has met their pledge, whose pledge has been forgiven. So I don't necessarily have to use these filter mechanisms up here at all. I can say status unmet, apply. Now, if you'll notice, everyone I'm looking at has a balance remaining. Okay. Maybe I want to search for everyone who has met. Hit apply again. So I see here, all these people are fully fulfilled, even have given over their pledge amount. And you may have some situations where people come to you and for various personal reasons, job changes or transfers or whatever happened in their life, marital problems or whatever, they come to you and say, I really intended to fulfill that pledge at the time I made it, but my life situation's changed and I'm not going to be able to do it. You can actually forgive a pledge, and then you can pull a query or a search filter, whatever you want to call it, on those individuals that you have forgiven. So you have a lot of different ways to look at the pledge and then the pledge in comparison to the giving just by going under giving, pledge campaign, selecting the specific campaign you're looking for, go to your filter option. So I can find pledges between, equal to, less than, and amount remaining is whatever you're wanting to search for, or just all the unmets, or all the mets, or all the forgiven. You can reset your filters at any time to get back to a clean starting point again. So you can pull a lot of data specifically just by going to the pledge campaign screen. Now, notice there's a search, there was the filter option. There's also a search option if you want to look for specific people. Have they made a pledge? Have they started giving? Have they fulfilled their gifts? So I can search for specific people as well. But I also want to point out you have the pledge campaign area to look at, but you also have the ability to pull some data from the dashboards. So we have an area, and I'm just going to point out that it's actually under reporting here. And if I click on reporting, I can go to the dashboards from there. However, if I click here, it's going to take me to reporting and dashboards. Notice we have giving dashboards and we have pledging dashboards along with other types of dashboards. So if your focus is on the pledge, then you can go to your pledge dashboard, and you can also pull data, a very easy, simple way to pull a lot of statistical data without you having to put a lot of thought and hard work into trying to figure out how to get it. Notice again, I have the filter. I can choose which campaign I'm looking at. Hit the apply button. And then it's going to provide you the campaign progress for that campaign. Again, we don't have any monies right now, but it will show you, if you'll notice, as monies start coming in for this campaign, X number of dollars received on the dashboard. It shows you how many pledges. Now, whenever you see something is in blue or in a color, that means you can click on it. So I see that we have 2 pledges. So if I click on the number 2, then it literally is going to take me, and it's taking a minute to get there. My internet's slowing down a little bit. I'm going to close some of these screens out. Maybe that'll help a little bit. Okay, so it took me to a screen that it's now showing me who those 2 people are that had pledged so far. And notice again, they come across as selected. I have an amount pledged, amount applied, pledge balance, and non-pledged gifts. So it's giving me this information on those people that have pledged so far. And notice again, if I'd like to, I can send them an email, or I can also invite them to RAM, which they should already be in RAM at this point. I can export this data in a CSV format, which means I could put it into Excel. If for some reason I wanted to add all these individuals to a group or to a pathway, I have the ability to do that. I also have a print option. So not just at the beginning of the start of the campaign, but possibly all through the year, the financial people will be wanting to know how we're doing with our campaign. This is just one report I wanted you to see that it showed everybody with the pledge, and it shows their pledge balance and the amount applied to the pledge, and also any non-pledge gifts, if they've given any of those as well. This is a report that you would be able to download and print, save it to a CSV, whatever you chose to do with it. So we had the ability to print, and notice we're looking at the 2020 budget pledge, givers with pledges. I can reset the filters. I can change the filters. I can choose whatever campaign, and I can choose what I want to see on the report. Notice by age ranges even. Givers with pledge, givers without pledge. I can see those that have pledged, no progress, mostly fulfilled, forgiven, partially fulfilled, or completely fulfilled. And I was able to just go to the dashboard under pledges. All I had to do was click on the total number of pledges here to get to that information. Notice also there's another section here, gifts over time, and you can set the date range on the time you're looking at. Again, there's no giving yet, but once there is giving, notice you'll see a comparison of pledged gifts and non-pledged gifts from the dashboard. I'm going to go back, let's see. I'm going to change this if I can to that one that I know we had some giving on, so you can see a better example. So it shows the goal, how much was pledged, how much was received, 47 pledges, amount needed. Now this is a better scenario. Gifts received over time. The pledged gifts from the non-pledged gifts. You'll notice I can hover and see more specific detail information as I do that. I can literally click at any point to get even more information off of the dashboard. Pledge gifts this period, non-pledge gifts this period. Now on the bottom of the pledges dashboard, and we will get there in just a minute hopefully, you'll notice there's another section here for fulfillment status, and there's a section for average pledge by age. So you get to customize when it comes to fulfillment. What do you consider no progress, partially fulfilled, mostly fulfilled, and totally fulfilled? These are sliders. You just set it to whatever you want it to be, so it can gauge the progress based on how you're defining what progress is. And hopefully we will get there in just a moment. There we go. And then the same thing with the ages. You can customize and you can resort the age groupings based on how you might want to look at those. So you have the dashboard, which is a snapshot that you can still filter and customize to provide the information the way you want to see it. And don't forget, I can click on the total pledges, and now I've got a list of those individuals that I can communicate with, or just put this information into a CSV type of a file to work with in an Excel format, doing your what ifs and projections possibly for the next year. So that was under reporting and under dashboards. But what you saw was I went to giving, pledge campaigns, clicked on the campaign, and was able to get to the dashboard from here as well. So all those questions that are going to come up as your pledge campaign is going on, who hasn't pledged yet? How much have we received so far in pledges? And searching by how is it coming in? Amount ranges, if you want to look at it that way. You have the ability to work off of this screen, the dashboard, or just setting your filters here. Total pledged is between this and this, and amount remaining is between this and that, or any other combination of what you see here as far as how you can create filters for comparison purposes. Looking at who has met, hasn't met their pledge, just from the dashboard or just from the pledge campaign area. One thing I want to mention while we're still talking about the pledging before we move into tracking the giving is, of course, as you communicate with your people that you're going to be recommending that they create their account, create their pledge, set up their online scheduled giving, one thing you need to communicate is if they don't go in here and set up their pledge, or they don't give you the information for you to go in here and set up their pledge, I mean, they can give all they want to, but it's not getting attached to their pledge. So helping them to understand either they need to go set up their pledge themselves, or if they don't intend to do that, they need to at least communicate to whoever at the church is responsible for seeing that their pledge gets set up by somebody, one of the staff people going in and doing it on the back end. Because if they start coming to you going, why I'm not getting pledge credit for this, well, you never set up your pledge. One thing that I meant to mention earlier, and it just came to me, and I want to throw it out there before I move on to the next topic. I mentioned encouraging your membership to download the Realm Connect app on their phones. It's a great tool. If you haven't gotten in there and played around with it yet or downloaded it yet yourself as a staff person, I recommend that you get in there and click around and play on it and figure out what it's all about so you can give guidance to the membership. But the point I wanted to make is for you to understand, and you need to let your membership understand, when they download this app, it's just like any other app on their phone. In your settings, you have an area to identify whether you're going to turn on or off the notifications for all your individual apps. So with this Ram Connect app, if you have people saying, well, I'm not getting anything, I'm not getting any announcements, I'm not getting a news feed, I'm not getting notification when anything's happening, every individual on their own devices has to turn their notification settings on in order to allow RAM to send information to the app so that they can receive it through the app on their phone. So it just came to me. I failed to mention that earlier, and I wanted to do it before I forgot again. It's terrible to get old. Keep forgetting more and more. Okay, so we've talked about getting the pledge information entered either by the staff person or the member themselves. We've talked about getting your online giving merchant account set up so people can give online and set up their scheduled giving. And the last thing I want to talk about is on the receiving of the contributions. Once the pledge campaign is up and running, and hopefully many people, you were successful with getting people to go ahead and set up a scheduled giving, and everything's good to go for the year. But how do we see that money coming in other than looking, at the pledge scenario? So we're going again under giving.
Pam, we
Yes.
have one question before you go to giving that I think will be beneficial to
Okay.
everybody talking
Sure.
about pledges. So it says, as we prepare for stewardship campaign, we need to export info for the mailing. How do we run a report to include our 2019 pledge amount as well as their address? And it's very easy to do. Go to the dashboards and the pledging dashboard. This is one of those where we made it even easier than ACS. Click on the number there where it shows 47. And all you have to do is click the drop down and choose export to CSV, and we automatically include the address plus their name and those fields that you see there, their amount pledged, the applied, the balance, and if there's any non-pledged gifts. So it's automatically all included in the export. This is a highly requested question, so I'm glad you asked it because there it is. So now you'll be able to generate any letters or anything that you need.
All right, I'm going to stay here just a minute to see if they come back with a secondary question before I leave this.
She said thank you, so that's it.
All right, great. Okay, so we literally went to the dashboard, went to the pledges dashboard, clicked on the number, brought up the people, and chose the option of creating that CSV or exporting to a CSV. And I apologize, it's running a little slow. Now, before you did the export, if for some reason you wanted to, everybody comes across as selected. But if you have some people that you know are not members any longer, somebody has passed away, or whatever the case may be, you can unselect certain people before you create that export, so they would not be in that export if you're going to use it for generating some kind of mailing. Thank you, Rebecca. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Okay, so we're going to move on into, so everything is set up, pledges are in, people have set up their scheduled giving. Now money is starting to come in, and how do I find it, and how do I know how much? So we're going to giving, we're going to contributions. Now you'll notice we have manual and we have online. Now, when you have gotten your online giving set up, and remember online giving is for them to go in and just send one-time gifts whenever they choose to, set up scheduled giving, text to give, go to your website to give, even to something like a disaster relief fund. But the monies that are coming in through online giving will show up in this area called online. Now, if you're not set up to receive online giving, you won't see this. It won't even be here. In the area of online giving, you're going to look at your money in two ways. If there are some monies that are still pending, they're still processing through, somebody went and said, I want to give the church the money, the merchant account, Vanco, is actually taking that money from their bank to your bank. It's in process. It hasn't completed the process of getting transferred. It'll show up in this area of pending. I mean, they're just going to show up here. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to be able to see what's pending, what's shortly soon to be coming in, which should then show up under processed. Now, under processed is where you will see the monies that have processed all the way through the process of online giving, whether it was the scheduled giving or they went in just to do a one-time gift or whatever the case may be. And notice that it's set right now to show me everything from September 30th to October 7th, but I can change the date range to look at any date range I want to look at. But what you will see here, okay, I'm just trying to get that out of the way. What you'll see here is a list of all those individuals that have given. You might have, based on the date range you're selecting to look at, you might have multiple batches. It will put these gifts into batches. And you might, if you're looking at like an entire month, you might have several batches where the money processed through from their bank through the merchant account into your bank account in a batch. Could be a batch that consisted of one individual and their giving. It could be a day that, a lot of people get paid on the 30th of the month or the 1st of the month or the 15th or whatever day they've got it scheduled, that you have a lot of people showing up in that batch. You're going to be able to see your batches. you're going to be able to print a report of those batches, either individually or together, depending on how many batches you're looking at. As far as the money coming in through online, if they had their pledge set up and they're giving to the same fund that their pledge was set to in the date range of the pledge, or however if you've selected it to receive it outside of that date range, bottom line is the money's coming in. You don't do anything. The money is in the books. The person who manually handles your contributions, who possibly has to come in on Monday and sit at a desk for hours on end, manually keying in Sunday offerings, this is another reason you want to encourage people to give online. There's no manual data entry at all. So there's no chance of human error again, of attaching it to the wrong person, transposing numbers, putting it into the wrong fund. However, the parishioner indicated where their money is going to go and when it's going to go, it just happens. So we've taken that human error possibility out of the whole picture of entering and receiving the giving of the money. Now, the report, I'm going to show you the report in a minute that you would be able to print from here when I get over to the manual giving. It'll be the same report. But this being a demo site, we don't have actual people giving online to it. Just understand that you'll see your pendings. They're not quite finished processing through from their bank to your bank. You'll see your processed, meaning they're done, they're in the bank, and potentially multiple batches of different people that are all giving together on the same day, so to speak. Now, if you do have the people that are, they're going to give their money by check, bring it, drop it in an offering plate, mail it in, use their bill pay at their bank or whatever the case may be, they did not set up their online giving through Realm, then you still will be able to manually enter those contributions. So you'll go to giving, you'll go to contributions, you'll be on the manual option. And the first thing is you will create a batch. Typically, people will make the batch match the total deposit. If you do like a morning deposit and then an evening deposit, you might have two batches for that day. If you do it all in one deposit, whether it comes in from the morning or the evening or, other services, maybe you have a Saturday night and a Sunday and then a Sunday night, and then maybe your deposit goes in the bank. Most people choose to make the batch totals equal the bank deposits for an easy way to reconcile down the road, make sure all the money's got accounted for. So the first thing you will do, just like you see here, you'll start a batch. Now, what you call the batch, just like you see here, these are called Sunday a.m., 9 o'clock service, Sunday a.m. service, just, just Sunday, just monies received, contributions, whatever you want to call the batch is totally up to you. I do know that in some churches I've worked with, if there's maybe multiple people entering batches, they'll put their initials or first name or something as part of the batch description as well. So we know this is the batch that Pam entered, that's the batch that Susan entered, and so on. But you're going to give it a description, the gift date. So if it was monies that came in, regular services on Sunday, we might want the gift date to be Sunday. Notice the only thing with an asterisk beside it is the gift date, meaning that's the only thing that's required. I don't have to have a batch description. You can set a default fund if the majority of the money coming in is going to go to, for example, the pledged offerings or the budget offerings or whatever you wanted to call it. So you can set the default so it will default to that, and you would only have to change it if that money was to go to something else inside that batch. Notice you can put an expected amount, and the purpose for that is a proofing mechanism. So if you've run a tape, you know what the total deposit to the bank is going to be, then you can put that in here as your expected amount, and you will be able to track that you have met the same amount total entering the contributions as when you ran the tape for the deposit. Now, when it comes to entering your contributions, notice you have an option of check, cash, and other. Check being exactly what it says it is. You received a check. We do have the ability for the larger churches that deal with a lot of checks that do come in to have a check reader to make the process of entering checks easier. The first time it scans a check, it reads the information off the bottom of the check, the routing number, account number, all of that. It will ask you, who does this check belong to? You will attach it to the person it belongs to. And from that point on, every time you scan that check, it will know who the person is that it belongs to. So it will automatically find that person and get the gift amount attached to that person without you having had to manually key in a name and enter an amount. It will read that information off, the scanner will read it off of the check. You will have an option if for some reason the handwriting was really bad or something was wrong and the scanner could not read the information at the time you're scanning, you'll still have an option to manually enter some of that information if the scanner can't read it. So notice with the check, the option of the regular gift or the gift for item of value. 99% of the time it's going to be regular gift. Now the gift for item of value, what that means is that you had maybe you had an event. Let me think of a scenario. You had maybe a fundraiser dinner, and just asked for donations, and people didn't, pay specifically for the meal. They just came and donated, $100, $50, $75, or whatever they felt like they could afford. But they received a value. They received a meal, so they don't get the full credit of the $100 that they gave. And the gift and the option of the gift for item of value, you would actually enter. If they gave 75, but they received a value, they received a meal that was worth $15. So they're actually going to get credit in this scenario for $60, not $75 because of the value they received. And the memo would be fundraiser dinner or whatever. So that's the gift for item of value option. But 99% of the time, especially just your regular Sunday giving, it's just going to be a regular gift. Notice that you can find the person by name, or if you use assigned giving numbers, you can do it that way. All I have to do is start typing. Notice I can type first name. It found everybody whose first name starts with Jim or goes by name starts with Jim. But it would also be finding anybody whose last name, the first three letters in the last name, is JIM. Notice I can type in a last name. And I apologize, it's slowing down a little bit here. Notice it found everybody whose last name was Abrams or started with Abrams or somewhere in their name where was ABRAMS somewhere in their last name or in their name period. So what I'm saying is not looking at just first name and or last name. It's just looking for characters that match into that person's name. If the person who gave you the money is not even in your database yet, you've got an option to be able to add them directly from here. You don't have to stop, leave, go at it somewhere else and come back. You can just add that individual and then pull them up and record their giving. If you're using the check reader, it will know the check numbers. It will populate the check numbers for you. If you're manually entering, you can enter the check numbers. It defaulted to budget because that's what I set it up in the batch to default to budget. The amount, memo. If necessary, I could split it because part of it was budget, part of it was building fund, whatever the case may be, until I've recorded their total amount of their check. If you receive cash, you have two ways to receive cash. Hopefully, they might have put it in an envelope with their name on it so you know who it was from. In that case, you would have just looked up the individual and given them credit for that money. Even if it was cash, if it went to the fund that she had her pledge attached to, she's still going to get credit for it. Now, sometimes you don't know who the money's from. In that case, we would use the loose cash. You have your loose plate offering. People drop a couple of dollars or whatever in. Kids drop their little 50 cents in, and you don't know who it's from. So in the order of cash, it's either loose, meaning we're not attributing the gift to a particular person, or if we do know who it's from, we have the ability to attach it to that individual. The other option for contribution receiving money is under other. Notice we have credit, other online, and non cash. So if somebody is sending money by way of some other type of online giving until you can get everybody transferred over to your new um, account with RAM and they can give that way, you can still record those other online gifts and you can even identify where it came from. You know, you can add your own options here, like it was PayPal or some of the other types of online givings that people are using these days. So you can still receive the money if it came from another online source, but if it's not coming through Realm, you still have to enter it manually. And we just keep adding into our batch until we have fulfilled the expected amount. So it lets me see how close I am to being done with entering my contributions. Let me just take this one out. Now I can stop at any time. I can go home, go to lunch, come back, go back into my batch, and keep adding until I have fulfilled the total amount that I was expecting to put into my batch. Of course, once I've done that, what I might want to do is pull a report to proof, make sure right amount, right fund, right person. So I have a report I can pull. You may just proof on the screen. You may not feel you need to pull a report for proofing purposes, but you can. And we should be there shortly. I apologize. My internet's gotten a little slow this afternoon. I wanted you to see this report. So it's going to show and list individually those people that gave their form of payment, what type of gift it was, and the funds that it went to. And then it's going to list below that, it's going to give you a section that lists each fund and the total amounts going into that particular fund. So this can be a proofing report if you want it to be. You will have the ability until you post to go back in to click on his name and make any changes if the fund was wrong, the amount was wrong, or even the individual was wrong and I need to delete it off of Jim because it should have gone to Bob. I have the ability to do all of that up until the point that I say everything is good to go and I'm ready to post. Once you post, then you can pull that same report again. This time though it's not a proofing report, it's an audit trail report because we have now posted those monies into our books. As Rebecca was mentioning, once the money is posted, the members cannot go in and change the amount that they gave. And in fact, very few people, even in the office, can do that. Only those people you've given the security rights to be able to work in your contribution area. So once it's posted, it's pretty much in the books. Although, if something came up, we had an NSF, or for some reason we realized we put it on the wrong person or it went to the wrong fund, we will have the ability, once it's posted, to void it to get it out altogether if that's what you need to do, or void it in order to re-enter it because something about the transaction was entered incorrectly. But I'll say you, the administrator at your church will set the security rights on who has access to the contribution area to enter contributions and do all the work necessary to keep the contributions correct and up to date. Okay, let me make sure I've covered everything there. So we will either receive our monies by way of online, which is the best, because that way on the back end you don't have to do anything other than if you want to pull some reports and look at what's coming in, or to manually enter those coming in through the office, through the church on Sundays, or whatever the case may be. I will mention, as we've been talking about, hopefully, our goal is we want to get people using Realm. We want to get people logging in taking advantage of all RAM has to offer, not just the pledging and the giving and all of that, but there's so much more to RAM that we don't have time to even cover in this session today. But I do want to mention that just like any other church out there, you're not going to get 100% participation the first year. You want to, as I mentioned earlier, publicize, communicate, encourage, stress, why people want to use RAM and how it's going to make their life better and easier, and really push them, encourage them all you can to do it. But you're going to have some that are going to be I'm going to wait and see how this goes, and maybe I'll think about it next year or so on. So don't be discouraged, the first time at the gate that you're trying to get people to do this, that you're not going to get 100% participation. But my suggestion would be to, maybe have an expectation for having a target goal this year of how many people would set up their Realm account and set up their online giving, and then maybe add a little to that goal every year. You want to keep encouraging people year after year after year. Those that maybe didn't do it the first time, but thought, well, maybe I'll think about it in a year or so. And then all the new people coming along during the year, you want to have a plan for getting them connected in with Realm and setting up their pledge and online giving. But just have your goal of we'd like to see X percent of our people using RAM this year, and then maybe next year, up that by another X percent, and so on, so that you can, kind of gauge your success as you're going through the process of getting more and more people actively using the online resources that RAM gives them. I was just trying to think if I had anything. Oh, there was something else I haven't shown you yet. One more thing. And I know I'm going to stop in a minute for any last questions. I do want to mention in the reporting area, we looked at the dashboards, but I do want to mention in the reports, we do have some predefined reports. And if you'll look at the ones that are set up in the giving section, you'll notice there's some pretty good reports in here to let you look at your giving and your pledging. Notice there's a detailed giving report. There's a giving comparison of gift totals, pledge gift totals, or pledge amounts within selected ranges, a multi-year giving report, and there is a pledge campaign report here as well. So there are some predefined reports. I'm just going to click on this one. Notice you can set, do I want to compare gifts, pledge gifts, total gifts from what year to what year, and specifically for what fund or funds. I can even attach a query to this. So the query again maybe was all your core people, the ones you're looking at to be the leadership of setting up pledges and giving. And I can attach the query to the report. So I'm only looking at those core people, not everybody in the database, as I pull this report. But there are, in the area of predefined reports, some reports in here that I would suggest, as you have the time, to come in here, pull them up, play with them, do different scenarios, selecting different options, just to identify for yourselves what all reports we have available to us. We've got the reports, and then we know that we have the dashboard, and then we know that we even had the ability to pull some reports from the pledge campaign area. So there's a lot of different ways to get to your data, and especially just queries. If you just need to create some own personalized queries of pulling some data that way. So a lot of ways to, as this progresses through the year, start looking at and evaluating your pledges and your giving and where everything's landing as far as your expectations and your hopes. But the pledge campaign specifically, being able to pull that one up and literally just being able to scroll up and down through here, is a great tool in and of itself. Now, I think I've covered everything I had on my agenda. I'm going to open it up for Rebecca if there's any questions, and after that, if Peter has anything else to say before we wrap it up.
We have one question. It is, how can I find parishioners who have not made a pledge but have contributed to the church throughout the year. And that would be done through custom queries. So you would search on the giving amount. Total is greater than a penny or greater than zero.
Whichever.
I guess greater than zero because somebody might do a penny.
Oh, well, that's true.
And then add more criteria and choose gift date is equal to, or well, you want to do is between, and that way you can put in your date range for the year. And then normally we would click the and button and add the pledge amount is also equal to 0, but right now it's going to give us an error message. I was just testing that. We already have that ticket into R&D, but normally you would do pledge amount is equal to 0, and that would give you everyone who has given but does not have a pledge. So if you take out, just delete that last line, and then we're just going to choose show results. When it comes up, one of the options you'll have, if you click the arrow beside the printer icon, will be an export like list.csv. So if you choose that one and then choose contributor list, which is the bottom one, and that way anyone that has shared giving, it will keep them combined. This will give you their phone number, their address, and their email address along with their total gift amount. So then you would be able to use that export to do any kind of mailing, any kind of communication you want to do with them, outside of Realm. And as soon as we get that message fixed or the error fixed with the pledge amount, that would be the other one. You can also drill down on that custom query and choose a particular fund. So if we edit the report, we could also add, if we do add more criteria, you can type fund, and then you can choose a fund or funds, depending on what you want. And you just check the box of the ones you want and then do the same steps. And that was it. That's the only other question we had.
Okay, Peter, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, thank you, Pam and Rebecca, for all the coordinating this session and answering all the questions. And if there are follow-up questions, you can always email them into me, and we can get you an answer for those. And if there's other thing, you can always, of course, as Pam mentioned, there's the support desk that you can get in touch with to answer specific questions. And of course, the training resources there in there, the resources for both supporting the pledge campaign, but in addition to that, the icon there for learning more up in the top right corner that I think we looked at in the last session has a lot of training resources, additional resources to kind of learn about different areas of Realm to kind of supplement kind of this, what we've been working on these sessions, which are specifically targeted to particular areas of ministry or parish activity. But there's a lot in that, in those learning libraries there that for particular groups that that I think would be, just worth looking at to kind of expand sets of skills or information and fill in the gaps and so on as you kind of start to use it more. So that's really it. As I mentioned, the next session is on the 9th. That's at 1 o'clock. The registration for that is online. Please let people know about that session. And if you have suggestions for other things as we move forward, or other resources or assistance that you need, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And again, as we go forward and some new features or areas, modules come out in Realm, we'll be looking at those and aim to provide further training on those areas as we move forward. And there's the support number on the screen right there for you that Pam's put up. So that's all from me. Anything else from Pam and Rebecca? Thank you so much for doing the session for us.
Well, thank you, Peter, for setting all this up. I will mention if you do need to call support, you can click on the bottom left where it says support. It will show your site number, and it shows the number that you would call, the hours that they are open. If you call from a phone within the office, they're pretty much going to know where you're calling from. But if you should call from a cell phone or another phone, they would ask for your site number. So that's why it's on the screen. So you would be able to give them your site number. I was going to mention you can also email if you have a question for the support team. You don't really want to take the time to get on the phone. You can always email, enter whatever the topic is, put in your question. It's my understanding, and Rebecca, you can correct me if I'm wrong, their goal is to respond within 2 hours to an emailed support question. I'm also, yeah,
Yes,
go ahead.
that's typically true unless we're backed up with phone calls for something, and then they do get to the emails just as quickly as they can.
I know I've emailed from a client site before for a client, and we get pretty quick response. You know, we might
Yep.
email and then go to lunch or something and come back and we've got our response ready.
You're on site, so
Yeah, I'm on
we
site.
yeah, we do try to respond a little quicker. We have a set people, you know, that are watching those kind of things. But the only other thing to mention is this is recorded, and I will be sharing that recording with Peter. So if someone wants to have the recording and view it or whatever, Peter will have that available to share with you.
Thank you, all of you, for your time today, for the 2 hours that you gave up to spend the time with us. I hope it was beneficial. You picked up some good information, got some ideas going on how to start implementing around with your launch of your pledge campaign for 2020. We will be getting back together for our next session, as was mentioned. I believe it's on October the 9th, same time, same channel. And I look forward to meeting with all of you then, and we'll cover a new topic. I will mention, you know, we have support, we have great resources. We also have the ability, if you want to do your own individual training, we do offer, you know, web training and on-site training and that sort of thing. You can always contact the training department if you would like to have a person work with you and your staff specifically in that area. So that's another way. I wanted to mention that as well, another way to get some additional training for your specific staff. So I hope you all have a great afternoon, and we'll all get back together. I think it's in a couple of weeks, maybe, or I can't remember. Maybe next week, but Wednesday, October the 9th. And I'll see you all then. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Pam. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, everyone.